Hello, 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 everyone. How you doing? My name is Tyler VS NYC, and welcome back to the Three Body Problem review and reaction series. We're going through one of my favorite series ever because, well, it makes me very happy. That's the reason I'm doing these videos, but it has made me very happy to see that it has made a couple other people happy too. So thank you to all that have liked and commented. It is a nice treat to see those pop up, and I appreciate it. But we have a lot to do, so let's get into it. We are going to pick up in chapter 15 of the Three Body Problem and figure out what the heck is going on in the Three Body Problem world. Let's get into it. Okay. Chapter 15, we have Wang logging back into the Three Body Problem computer program, and he has the correct idea as to what the heck is going on. And Luoshishin gives us a clue by what username Wang chooses when he logs back in. He logs in for the first time with the name Copernicus. Copernicus, of course, being the scientist that first posited that the Earth was not the center of the solar system, rather the sun. So after a little bit of chit-chat, Wang logs in and says to the other people there, it's actually pretty simple. The reason why the sun's motion seems patternless is because our world has three suns. Under the influence of their mutually perturbing gravitational attraction, their movements are unpredictable. The three-body problem. When our planet revolves around one of the suns in a stable orbit, that's a stable era. When one or more of the other suns move within a certain distance, their gravitational pull will snatch the planet away from the sun it's orbiting, causing it to wander unstably through the gravitational fields of the three suns. That's a chaotic era. This is also one of the more funny parts of the book. Immediately after this, it says, a few hollow laughs rang out in the Great Hall. Burn him to death, the Pope said impassively. That's funny. This is page 184 of the Three Body Problem, this version, by the way. So this is actually the more that I've thought about it, this is a small critique I would have of this book, is we don't really have what I would call a magic moment. My day job is I work for and founded a company called Storytime Chess and Chess at 3, which teach chess to kids at the surprising age of 3 through stories. And how we do that is we tell a story to a child, and there's a magic moment in that story. And that magic moment is when the child is able to make a discovery. And I feel like we don't, and I could miss it. Maybe I missed it. A scene where Wang figures out, where we figure out with Wang the three body problem. If I missed that scene, then feel free to roast me in the comments. But it kind of comes out of nowhere. He just logs in and says, hey, boom, three bodies, it's a problem. Everyone, no one believes him at first. In particular, Wang backs up his theories by saying, you know, when we see the three stars flying very far away, that means it's going to be very cold because our suns won't be anywhere close. And one of them says, well, why haven't we seen all three suns at one time? And Wang says, people have, but if they do, they are immediately incinerated because it'll be way too hot. And this is exactly what happens as Wang is telling them they're about to burn him to death slowly over a fire. When Wang looked up and saw three gigantic suns slowly spinning around an invisible origin, like an immense three-bladed fan blowing a deadly wind toward the world below. So the world ends, it burns up, and it says civilization number 183 was destroyed by a tri-solar day. This civilization had advanced to the Middle Ages, but in this civilization, Copernicus successfully revealed the basic structure of the universe. The, civili- the civilization of Three Body will take its first leap. The game is now entered its second level. So this is what is going on in the Three Body Problem. It is a world with three suns, and we will continue to explore it, but that's the beginning. We know what's going on now. Doesn't it feel good? Okay, chapter 16. Actually, not one of the most exciting chapters in the book, but we get to meet a character named Wei Chang, who is a mathematician, a savant early in his life. The chapter goes back into his life a little bit, and we get to see him both succeed and at the same time not be particularly interested in the academic path set before him and develop a misguided life without much gravitational pull in it. That is until he discovers the three body problem. And it seems like this three body problem is the perfect puzzle piece that makes his mind whole, that something that truly interests him, something that he wants to work on all day, every day. And he marries a woman out of convenience, not really out of love. And one day she says, "You have to stop working on this," and threatens him with a gun. He is scared. He goes to the police, and there he meets Dashi, who then introduces him to Wang. And they drive back to his house to investigate what is going on, at which point they see his wife is dead. This is another, what looks like, job of the frontiers of science, attacking and persecuting scientists that are pursuing strange, non-mainstream ideas for one reason or another. So, not much that interests me in this chapter, although this character might be a cool kind of, I wouldn't call it a foreshadowing, but like he reminds me of Luoji a bit from book number 2. Someone who is lazy, unguided, but the thing that they end up finding ends up being very important. So their laziness is a very important ingredient in their personality that will eventually lead them to discover something great. So that is chapter 16. Let's keep moving because we have some really exciting things to go into. Okay, chapter 17. Chapter 17 is one of my favorite chapters in the Three Body Problem, and one that I cannot wait to see on the Netflix show when it comes out. I believe in the teaser there is a small cut of a scene from this chapter. And what happens in this chapter, I don't want to describe it too much because the book does it better than I could, but just give my reflections on it is when Wang logs back into the Three Body, him and a couple other users are trying to make a computer out of people giving each other simple signals, left, right, straw, cloth, black, white, and through these simple signals, this computer is able to make calculations. And so they are able to extrapolate this simple idea to the nth degree, and millions of people from across Three Body all gather in huge fields and organize themselves to try to make these calculations to predict chaotic and stable eras. In one particularly brutal scene, they're just doing a test of the computer to see how well it's working. And one area of the computer, which is people, isn't working very well. And one of the characters grasps his sword and says, "Replace the malfunctioning component and behead all the soldiers who make up that gate. In the future, any malfunctions will be dealt with in the same way." This is just a crazy, violent, inhuman way that really just makes your skin crawl, but will not be the last time we see this kind of treatment in the Three Body Problem series. this uh, calculating system works and kind of works, and it's unclear as it doesn't really work. It's not really able to predict chaotic and stable errors, and the chapter ends in just an unbelievable scene, and a sun rising, but it's not one sun. It's three suns that are stacked 1, 2, 3 against each other. So it looks like one. And the gravitational pull of all three of these suns pulls this entire human computer and all of humanity up towards the sky into a horrible end to this particular civilization. From 221 it says the 30 million men who had formed the motherboard were floating away from Earth and rising like a swarm of ants sucked up by a vacuum cleaner. Terrible. Just terrible. This is a side point, but the translator of this book, Ken Liu, also wrote a book. I'm sorry, I should say a series called, I think it's called the Dandelion Dynasty. Anyway, the first book and the second book. The first book, The Grace of Kings, excellent. Second book, Wall of Storms, excellent. Both really good. And the reason why I bring it up is I can feel a little bit of Liu Cixin's influence, I believe, on Ken Liu. Or maybe it's Ken Liu influencing Cixin Liu. Maybe, I don't know who pushed and who pulled, but there are definitely cinematic, stylistic similarities in their scenes. Some of these incredibly horrible scenes of destruction are also in some of Ken Liu's work. So anyway, let's keep going. That chapter is absolutely nuts, and I cannot wait to see it. At the end of chapter 17, I should have mentioned Wang receives a phone call where he is invited to a meetup of people who play the three-body problem game. And that meetup is chapter 18. It is a bunch of three-body players meeting up in a small coffee shop, and one of the developers of the three-body kind of stands up and addresses everyone and begins to reveal what the purpose of this game is. The goal of, this is page 229, the goal of Three Body is very simple and pure: to gather those of us who have common ideals. What ideals do we have in common exactly? Wang immediately regretted the question. He wondered whether asking it sounded hostile. Pan studied everyone meaningfully and then added in a soft voice, "How would you feel if Tri-Solaran civilization were to enter our world?" And then the next line is, well, I'll just read it. "I would be happy." A young reporter was the first to break the silence. "I've lost hope in the human race after what I've seen in recent years. Human society is incapable of self-improvement, and we need the intervention from an outside force." "I agree," another shouted. And that's what this chapter is the shocking revelation of there actually is a civilization called the Tri-Solarans that live in this chaotic world. What if they came here? And there are a shocking amount of people like Ye Wenji that have lost faith in humanity and think it would be great if an outside force came in to help. When Pan asked Wang what about you? Because some people say, hey, no, humans are cool. I don't like this. And they are invited to leave and then to not ever play the three body problem game again. So when Pan asks Wang, what side are you on? He said, I stand with them. And he points to the reporter and the philosopher. He kept his answer simple. The less said, the better. So whether Wang does this, I don't think Wang actually agrees with them. I think he is in with Dashi. He wants to stay in the club, the cabal of people in three body. And although he doesn't have the coldness in his heart that others do, he lies, I think, to stay in it. So that's the end of chapter 18. Let's get into 19. Okay, we are ending part 2 of the three body problem. Don't worry, there's at least one more part. With chapters 19 and 20, Wang logs back into the three body, and he is greeted with a futuristic world of a United Nations-like building, a giant pendulum that is sort of a monument, and someone playing violin on the steps named Einstein. And here Wang learns more about a part of the reality of being in a three-body world, of how they would view reality. And that is, again, with there being no patterns anywhere. On 236, we see this phrase: God is a shameless old gambler. He has abandoned us. The Secretary General slowly nodded. Yes, God is a gambler. The only hope for the Tri-Solaran civilization is to gamble as well. And here we hear about the plot to leave this three-body system. And we learn that this is not just a ideological, hey, we're not going to take this anymore, that there is actually their time in this system is coming to an end. And that is because of an event called the Great Rip, which was an event that in the three body that Wang was not around for, but it was one where the suns all went past this world. And on 238, it says, the first sun shook the deepest geological structure of the planet. The second sun tore open a great rift in the planet that went straight to the core, and the third sun ripped the planet into pieces. And indeed, there is now a moon that is orbiting this planet that used to be part of this planet. They also discovered, this is on the next page, 239. Instead, they discovered that in the distant past, the Tri-Solaran stellar system had 12 planets, yet now only this one remains. Our world is nothing more than the sole survivor of a great hunt. The fact that civilization has been reincarnated 192 times is only a kind of luck. And so they discover that because of this three-body problem, it is only a matter of time until this world is sucked into one of the suns and permanently destroyed. And so in the next chapter, chapter 20, we see that the Tri-Solaran race leaves the three-body world. They get on starships and they are able to travel, I believe, at 1/10 the speed of light. What's the fleet's destination? A star with planets about 4 light years away, the closest star to the Tri-Solaran system. And Wang was surprised. This is on 244. The closest star to us is also about 4 light years away. You? The Earth. So that is now the situation, is you have an alien fleet called the Trisolarans. And they have left their chaotic and cruel world on starships that can travel 1/10 the speed of light. They're 4 light years away, which means they have 400 years until they arrive here. And that is half of it. The other half is you have now somehow a group of people on Earth that can communicate with them, and a sympathetic group of people on Earth that, because of their lack of faith in humanity, now is welcoming this force. And that is the end of part 2. And the next part is part 3, the sunset for humanity. So, thank you all for watching. It's been fun. Ooh, it's been so fun. I can't wait to see some of these scenes on the Netflix series. I hope you're all well. I hope you had great holidays. If you made it this far, I'm very proud of you. Man, it's so fun to read and think about these. Leave me some comments. Just anything from the series. I would love to hear your favorite parts from these chapters. Follow me on X and Instagram, also at TylerVerseNYC. And adios. I'll see you soon.